Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to my Game Week 15 team selection video. I'm recording this on the morning of the 6th of December. All the games from Game Week 14 have concluded. We had some press conferences for the weekend games yesterday. We'll be having the balance today. LR will be recording his video after the press conferences, so any updates or curveballs, we will be discussing it over there. First up, let's look at Game Week 14, how it went for me. I got 62 points, which was largely contributed by Mikalenko auto sub, who came on for Gabriel. Jackson didn't feature at all. Strand Larsen came on for him, who also had a big chance, but I guess having two players in the same game sub on with 13 points, that's pretty much all I can ask for, right? You can't really do much better than that. Looking at the rest of in terms of the rank, I went from a 1.901 to 1.955, so pretty much a grey arrow. Maintained rank for this week, which was all right. Not too bad when you save a transfer, especially. Flecken with 3 points, Nouri with 0. He's getting a bit annoying. Wolves look like they concede 4 or 5 every game. Lewis with a point off the bench. I didn't really have anybody else to play. Greaves got the same number. Didn't really lose out. Semenyo is somebody who had high hopes for this week. He was quite disappointing yesterday in terms of big chance involvements and shots near the goal. Very little. Couple of assists he could have got towards the end, but underwhelming. He's not looking talismanic at all. Mbeumo, we hope that Brentford would switch to 2 up top, but they did not. They stuck to the conventional back four, and Mbeumo was once again quite poor. I'll discuss his replacement options and whether you should sell him in the next few slides. Palmer captain could have been much bigger, but 14 points, we'll take that. I still maintain, looking at his underlying data and watching the game, he was indeed the best captaincy option this week. Saka with 3 points. Arsenal pretty much relied on set pieces, kept it tight. Salah, this is historic. This season is going to go down in the record books with what Salah. No player has achieved 150 points faster in Premier League or FPL history. Strand Larsen discussed. João Pedro played centre forward, just 1 assist. Fulham kept it tight at home. Deserved winners. As always, we start with the season ticker, looking now at the next 6 game weeks. Bournemouth, you can see are right at the top. Ipswich, West Ham, Palace and Everton are the good games they have, with Manchester United and Fulham away not so great. City also, as you can see, are creeping up in the ticker. But again, Haaland was playing a little bit more withdrawn role. Could be tactical to do with the way Forest set up. Not really interested in bringing him in right now. Can't really look at KDB either with his fitness issues. So a bit of a wait and watch there. Arsenal are in third. I think once the Fulham away fixture is out of the way, they'd go even further up on this. Chelsea, I don't think that Tottenham fixture is going to be a difficult one. The fixtures are great. Liverpool, again, great for attackers, great for your defenders as well. I think you see potentially 3 clean sheets there at least in the next 6. With Wolves, it's the next 3 fixtures. They're up against teams who I think 17th, 18th and 19th for expected goals conceded in West Ham, Ipswich and Leicester. So at least for the short term, next 3, Wolves are good. Look towards the bottom now. Everton will play Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea and Man City in the next 4, followed by Forest and Bournemouth. All 6 sides are doing very well right now. So obviously your Everton assets now is the time to get rid. West Ham, short-term fixtures good. Liverpool, Man City, at the end pretty bad. Newcastle fixtures now, I think again the next 4 are quite good. Brentford, Leicester, Ipswich and Villa, which is at home. Now, first up, the big topic this week is Mbeumo replacements. So let's have a look at the projections now we have from Sir Talp. Now, if you want immediate returns, the projections you're looking at are Bowen, Rogers. Rogers, take that with a pinch of salt. I think there's a bit of a rest there. But ultimately, you want to look, I think, at least at a 3 to 4 game week horizon. So let's look at game week 15 to 18. It likes Bowen a lot, which is understandable. The games are Wolves, Bournemouth, Brighton, Southampton. So obviously great. Gordon, another one that stands out with Brentford, Leicester, Ipswich, Villa. Mitoma has Leicester, Palace, West Ham and Brentford. All of these guys are good picks, but the problem, of course, is that none of them free up a significant amount of money. With Mitoma also, I'm guessing you guys have Mbeumo at around 7.5. You get like $1 million free. It's not really enough if you want to jump to like a premium defender like a Trent. You could potentially get to Timber though. Now, if you look at a longer horizon, like let's say game week 15 to 20, you see Eze is right at the top. But the problem with Eze is look at the short-term fixtures. It's Man City, who I admit are not a great defense, but you still don't want to buy a player who plays them. Brighton, Arsenal, and Bournemouth, which is away. And then Southampton and Chelsea. So out of that, the only good fixture I would say is Southampton. None of those fixtures are really appealing. Maybe you could argue Bournemouth for the attackers. So certainly wouldn't be looking at Eze to buy right now. A bit of IOB talk, but again, Fulham hit and miss, and the fixtures are really difficult the next few. Johnson you could look at, but again, as we saw last night, and said he has to rotate with so many games coming. A bit put off Johnson as well. Nobody really stands out. Again, I think if you want to go bargain basement, you have to go for Semenyo. But if you watched the game last night, so Tavernier was getting most of the chances, Evan Nilsson getting few as well. The goals and assists are going to be spread around in that team. But I guess at 5.6, he's all right. If you're looking around the 7 bracket, I do like Gordon a bit more than Bowen. I don't know what's going to happen with the West Ham management. Lopetegui could be gone by this time next week, so I don't really like that option. And then after that would be Mitoma. So my ranking for the replacements, Gordon, Mitoma, and Semenyo. Now let's have a look at the projections also from the various websites. Now for the similar bracket now. Ensemble is a combination of all of them. It likes Eze, Bowen, Gordon, Mitoma, and Semenyo. So pretty much what we've discussed. Take your pick from these guys depending on your budget. It's really surprising to see Eze so far up on these, right? With the fixtures that he has, but the projections always have loved Eze, and we saw it since the beginning of the season. You guys know my thoughts. Rashford features on the scout one. Not a big fan of that. You could go for Kulusevski maybe, potentially. Now that his rest, you could say, is out of the way. But nah, I just don't feel confident on Spurs right now. It's not great, to be honest, the replacements. Nobody really fills me with confidence that's a lot cheaper. Right now, I'm hoping somebody will emerge over the next few weeks. Now, look at the projected goals and clean sheet odds from Rob T for this week. Goal-wise, it's not that high in terms of projection this week. Villa are out ahead against Southampton, 2.35. Liverpool are 2.2. Everton have been good at home, though, so that could be potentially generous. Leicester, Brighton, quite high. West Ham, Wolves, also looks like that game could have a few goals. Spurs, Chelsea looks like to be high scoring as well. I like that particular fixture for your Chelsea attackers. I don't think Spurs are in a good place right now, and they traditionally struggle after midweek games. Another visual with the same data. Let's look at the clean sheets this time. Liverpool are ranked marginally higher than Arsenal. 2% is really negligible. You don't take much account of that. But from what I saw of Fulham yesterday, I thought they were quite good. At home, they haven't failed to score in a single game this season. In fact, each one of their games has seen both teams to score at the Cottage. So again, very capable of scoring against Arsenal, who I still don't know will have Gabriel back or not. You're not going to get any news from Arteta. It's going to be touch and go. He said the last game that he's hoping he's back for Sunday, but even Gabriel was in a stretcher in a hospital getting a heart transplant. Arteta would still say that he has a chance of being fit. So that information is completely useless to us. Now looking at some other data over there, projected goal scores already discussed with you guys. Brighton are still good. If you want to bring in Mitoma this week, I think they will start him again after losing. I don't think they can really afford to rotate after a loss like that. Not much else. I think Chelsea should be a little higher. 1.9 is not that great. Let's just go back there for a second. Let's compare West Ham. I want to compare Bournemouth and Wolves because in particular I'm looking at a Semenyo versus a Strand Larsen decision this week. In terms of goals, Bournemouth are at 1.7, Wolves are at 1.33. But again, Bournemouth do split their goals around a lot. Now, as time for our weekly sleeper plug. Now, you guys are probably familiar with the sleeper game. You have to pick a correct result every weekend, win, draw, loss, and you get a point for each outcome that you predict correctly. This is already the second game week of the month, but the first game week, I think a lot of guys got the predictions wrong. So I think you still could get an edge by joining this week. Let's have a look at some of the match odds, I think, in terms of this also helps us to tie into our captaincy discussions, which is why I wanted to introduce this slide now. Liverpool, 67%, I think, are the most favorite team to win this weekend, although I think that is a bit harsh on Villa. I think Villa should probably be higher. It's just that the bookies love Liverpool right now. Man City, again, good fixture. Man United, Arsenal, and Brighton. These are the guys with 50% above. West Ham, Wolves. It does favor West Ham a lot. It all depends on how much the players turn up for the new manager. Spurs, Chelsea is quite close on paper, but I'm quietly confident as a Chelsea fan in that one. Brentford Newcastle is interesting as well. 35-39 you see over there, but Brentford at home, I think they picked up more points than any team in the division. So that's something interesting to consider. As always, the QR codes are on the screen to download the app and to join our Premier League Pickem League, where we have a lot of prizes up for grabs for our Patreon and Discord subscribers, as well as the free to join league. Now, the big discussion this week is captaincy. Of course, most of you guys can say I'm just going to go Salah anyway. Why go against Salah? And it's a fair argument. But again, I think potentially with Everton being tight at home and being the early kickoff, there is an opportunity to go against Salah this week. So let's just look at the other candidates. If you have Watkins, I think the 60-odd minute sub bodes really well for his prospects this week. He's the one I think you can really take on Salah with some confidence. I think LR should consider the Haaland captaincy. I think it's worth a throw of the dice this week. I don't think there's much to split Palace away and Everton away. Palmer, again, like I mentioned, I expect Chelsea to get some joy against Spurs. I like that option as well. But perhaps I like Jackson a little bit more with his full rest. With Jackson, there is a concern that he could get subbed off early, but being rested fully midweek and not having any Premier League games the next week, he doesn't play in the conference games anyway, right? So it does make sense for Jackson to get 80 minutes plus against Spurs. And again, on that high line, on the break, Jackson could be very effective. Saka quite low on this. With Fulham away, I never feel confident captaining somebody there. Now, similar thing, now that translate, let's say, to goal points, because Salah, the goals add more, the clean sheet points, etc., etc. Watkins is out on top, Salah second, but again, you see there's not much to split him and Haaland. If you have Haaland, I'd say back yourself and go captain the Norwegian. Palmer, Saka right after. Isak is quite high up there, higher than Jackson, something I wouldn't necessarily agree with or expect. But again, Brentford have been conceding so many goals at home, sort of balances out with how Newcastle are away. That will be an interesting one to watch. Bowen again quite high up in terms of the projections. Kluivert's received a bit of a boost, I guess largely due to his penalty duties. Mbeumo is still up there, but again, Mbeumo has got similar projections to Rodgers this week, in case you have a benching decision. Another look at captaincy from SuperChats projections, looking at the various websites. Quite unanimous for Salah this week. The second is close between Haaland and Watkins. Palmer is around third or fourth. But yeah, I guess Salah, you just go with that. If you fancy a punt, you own Haaland, back yourself with Haaland. If not, Palmer. I don't think anybody really owns Watkins, so that's really not that much point discussing that. Quick look at the watch list. Not much of an update. The goalkeepers stay the same. In defense, you have Trent, Gabriel, Nouri, Timber, Gomez. Probably won't buy Nouri now. Look at Lewis Hall with some decent fixtures. Midfield, Palmer, Saka, Bowen, Mitoma. Gordon's made his way in there. Forward line, Jackson, Joao Pedro, Evanilson, Kuna, Isak. Not really much change. Now, this is how I am set up for game week 15. I have 2.8 million in the bank and 2 free transfers. Flecken in goal, Nouri, Gabriel and Lewis in defense, Salah cap, Mbeumo, Saka, Palmer Vice, Jackson, Joao Pedro and Larson, with Fabianski, Semenyo, Mikalenko and Greaves on the bench. A decision I have to make this week is whether to start Larson or Semenyo, but the thing is, with the game on Monday, it's so huge for both sides, right? They're calling it El Sacico. These sort of games generally see a lot of goals, it's a lot of panic ball. And with Ipswich, I think they've been a bit better defensively. Watched that Palace game quite closely. They didn't give up that many big chances. And with Bournemouth, Semenyo is not traditionally a guy who gets your double returns. May get a goal, may get an assist, but he's not quite talismanic enough. But I feel Larson could get a large chunk of Wolves XG in that game. So just tempted to go with Larson in that case. Now, in terms of my transfer plans, with 2.8 billion in the bank, and that defense looking pretty ragged, I'm thinking ship Mikalenko now for Alexander-Arnold over Timber. I know on the pod I mentioned I like Timber more, but just seeing Fulham yesterday, I'm a little bit more concerned, and I think I might have to make a goalkeeper transfer soon, in which case I can't really look beyond Rhea. So I think Mikalenko to Trent is going to be my move, and I want to show you guys how this affects my path for future weeks. First up, how my team would look the next week. Now with Trent coming in, I would be benching Nouri. And what it also gives me is that also gives me a sub in case, let's say, Gabriel doesn't feature, Lewis doesn't feature, we don't really know. With Gabriel, we're going to get absolutely no news whatsoever. With Lewis, we might get a bit of a leak. You never know on Saturday. Now, this is how my team would look the next 2 game weeks. In game week 16, I would be fielding a defense of Nouri, Gabriel, and Trent, which is all right. In midfield would be Salah, Semenyo, Palmer, Saka, Jackson, Pedro, and Strand Larsen, with Mbeumo on the bench away to Chelsea. Team looks all right, but again, the goalkeeper is not great, something I need to pay attention to. Game week 17 arrived with 3 free transfers. Flecken has Forest at home, which is not bad. Nouri has Leicester away. Gabriel, Trent, we have Salah. Mbeumo comes back into the team for Forest at home. Palmer, Saka, Jackson, Joao Pedro, and Strand Larsen. So if I make the Trent move, I don't necessarily need to do a transfer now for the next couple of weeks. What I could do, I arrive in 16 and I realize there's somebody I really want. I could sell Mbeumo at the time for maybe somebody super cheap, even like a Rogers, and maybe get another defender over there, or get a goalkeeper, something I need to. So I do think I can make the Trent move. I'm not so worried about not having any cash free for transfers because I would only have 0.2 in the bank left over. But having that extra free transfer means I sort of have a get out of jail free card in case I need to free money. So that's it for today. I wanted to keep this video short with the turnaround. I also have to record the stats video now for our Patreon members. So thanks for watching. I think Pras has already published his video. We did the pod yesterday with the timestamps. LR will be doing his video later today. Hit like and subscribe. We're very close to 35k subscribers. We would appreciate you getting us there. Thank you and have a great game week.